Okay, so we've already looked at using the blob brush tool and the live paint bucket tool to be able to trace our image and colour it quickly and easily. Something that'll take a wee bit of practice, just getting used to the style, but it's allowed us to make a quick vector representation of our character. What we're going to look at a slightly different technique here that will allow us to use the blob brush tool to create a wee bit of depth by applying some shade to the character throughout. Now this is what we had created initially, which is a template layer and an outline layer, which we then coloured straight onto. Now if we want to use the technique of applying some shade before applying any colour to this outline layer, what we must do is duplicate and make a copy of the outline layer. Now you see these two on top of each other, but if I hide the original outline layer, that is what I had to begin with before I applied any paint. So in order to be able to make a copy of the layer, I used the layer options window here, layer options, which allowed me to duplicate the outline layer, and I just named it outline copy. Once that was copied, I just hid it and went back to this outline layer and then applied the live paint bucket. Okay, so I'm now going to just rename this so there's no confusion, so that this layer is now colour. So what I have is three layers: my template layer, my outline and coloured layer, and my outline copy, which is sitting on top, and you won't see a great deal of difference unless you were to hide the colour layer just to see what we're left with. So it's extremely important that you have these two layers. One is simply an outline and the other one was the original outline but with the colour in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate an in-between layer. Okay, so we're creating a sandwich between these two, and it'll become apparent and make more sense as to what I've done in a minute once I show you. If I create a new layer, this is what we're going to call the shade layer. Okay, now I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to select the skin colour that I have, and I'm going to select my blob brush tool, and what I'm going to do is just choose a slightly darker shade, and you'll see that in comparison. This was my original colour I'd selected, and that's my darker shade. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, I'll hit OK. I'm just going to zoom in a wee bit so I can see it a bit better. And I'm going to use the blob brush tool to draw in between these two layers. So it's on top of the colour and outline layer, but it's underneath the outline layer itself. The advantage of doing that is, I'll just increase my brush size using the bracket. It allows me to be able to draw underneath this outline layer, like so. Okay, and the blob brush settings are perhaps just a wee bit too big, so even when I'm increasing it and decreasing it, it's not exactly what I'm looking for. So playing about with the settings, and I'm just producing a kind of very quick representation of shade. Now what you can do is you can use the blob brush tool simply to get the line that you're looking for. And remember, you've got this safety net with having that outline layer above. I create a shape like that, I can select that, it will recognise it as a separate shape, and I can go back to the live paint bucket tool and use this shape here. Sorry, that's not a quick one. Make sure that under layer is locked and try. I've used the blob brush stroke that I created to convert that into a live paint bucket area and just filled it. It was picking up the original. If you see, as I'm hovering over it, it starts to pick up the other live paint buckets. What would be best doing is just mentioning to lock those two layers we've used previously for live paint bucket. So it might be a bit of a quicker and easier technique. So for example, say we were doing the trousers again, so I'll just use the eyedropper tool to select my initial colour, and then from that I can generate a shade and create a darker representation of the original colour. So you can use the blob brush tool to simply just freehand paint, or again, if I was wanting to create a shape like a ground fill, do that using the blob brush tool. Come back to the start. Okay, use my selection tool to select a path, live paint bucket tool, and click inside. Just deselect that. And that's me created the shape. Okay, so you can continue throughout by using this inside layer. Now, if you wanted to make highlights, it's the same thing. You just generate a new layer, call it highlights, so you know what it is that you're working on, and lock the original shade layer. And this time it would just, I guess, do that. You're just doing the opposite, where you would be using your eyedropper tool to select your mid-tone. In this case, now choose a lighter a tint of the original colour, and by using the blob brush tool again, you can simply paint your highlights to suit yourself. Okay, so this character will be available on Moodle, as well as obviously the videos that you'll be watching and linked to YouTube, and I'll allow you to apply this technique. The next video we're going to have a look at would be using this technique in Photoshop, and if I take us right back to having this layer here, we'd be looking at exporting this as a PNG, which is going to give us transparency around the character. But with having the block colour, it's going to be able to allow us to use particular tools to apply a kind of shade technique to the character, but slightly different in terms of the, this being a vector graphic. We'll be able to produce a kind of softer, more in-depth tone or shade rendering to the character within Photoshop. So before we go, in order to be able to set up the image for that, I'll just show you how to export it. So if you go to File, Export, and choose PNG from the drop down list, give it a name and save it to the destination, that's the image that we'll be able to use in the following tutorial within Photoshop.